Hey guys, welcome back to Hopeless Hollow. Now you might think, hey wait a second, isn't this channel dead? Yes it is, do not pay attention to that. So we're back, and today we're going to be comparing two incredibly similar spells. Absorb Elements and Protection from Energy. So let's get started. Absorb Elements is a first level spell you can cast as a reaction, just by simply knowing the spell and waving your hands. This is incredible. A first level spell. You have access to it from first level. Wide variety. Druid, Ranger, Sorcerer, Wizard, Artificer. A nice, strong list. Casting time. A reaction. Incredible. This is a defensive spell. Just allowing it to be a reaction means you could spend any of your turns doing whatever you want, and just as long as you keep your reaction, which as a spellcaster you usually have, you just can cast this practically for free. Range self, yeah, that's fine. Somatic components, great. Silence has nothing on this spell. You're only worried is being restrained. Duration, 1 round, yada yada. Abjuration, none. Its effects, yada yada. What's it a reaction to, though? In which you take acid, cold, thunder, or lightning damage. That is a nice list. Fire and lightning are great. Thunder is, well, it's not the best, but just be glad you have it just in case. Cold and acid are great. But I'll get back to this in just a second, so remember that list. So, the spell captures some of the incoming energy, lessening its effect on you and storing it for your next melee attack. You have resistance to the triggering damage type until the start of your next turn. This is insane. Mainly against dragons. Dragons, they have huge breath weapons that do a ton of damage, but they take on average 6 turns to recharge. Keep this in your back pocket, and you have the damage from that breath weapon. Imagine if you succeed the saving throw as well. Then you've practically quartered his breath weapon. He might as well have just made a few attacks on you. It would have done more damage. And look at that list. Acid, cold, fire, lightning. That's so many of the dragon's damage types. All the breath weapons. And thunder is actually more prevalent now too, because with Fizzbands, a couple of dragons now use thunder damage for the breath weapon. So this isn't as insane against dragons, but its versatility is not just limited to dragons. Anything that does these damage types could just have their attack halved against you for a turn. But we're not done yet. This second effect is usually pretty useless to most spellcasters. But if you are a sword caster, or just also known as a caster who also hits with melee weapons, like a blade singer wizard, or a paladin, and you somehow just got this spell, or just a early level sorcerer with a few spells made for it, you get an extra 1d6 damage of the type you blocked. Now, this isn't as great. If we go back to our example with dragons, they're usually immune to the same type of damage they deal with their breath weapon. So the second effect is actually kind of bad. But that's not why you're here for it. You're here for the reaction casting time, first level spell that halves the damage. Incredible! Especially for the sorcerers and wizards. The other 3 classes, yeah, we use it, especially druid, but Ranger and Artificer, they don't really take this too often. It's just a great utility spell to have. This is a spell that you keep practically your whole entire career. Now, this is a lot of hype for Absorb Elements. Protection from Energy's got a lot to live up to. So let's see what it's got. First of all, it's a 3rd level spell, so you don't get this until 5th level, and it's using one of your precious 3rd level spell slots, like be used for Fireball, Tidal Wave, Thunderbolt. So, it's gotta have some kick-ass effect. So, casting time, 1 action. It's not a reaction. That hurts. Range, area, touch. That's big. It doesn't have to be just you anymore. You can affect someone else. Incredible. Components. Verbal and somatic. Not as great as the last one. Now you have to move your hands and speak. Silence shuts this down. But that's not a deal breaker. A lot of spells have verbal and somatic. So, next, concentration. 1 hour. Concentration isn't great. You'd much rather use your concentration on another spell. But it lasts for an hour. This can go through so many combats. As long as you don't drop concentration, you could have this spell's effect for 3 or 4 combats. And theoretically, you could just have it for a ton of combats, even more than that. But typically, you wouldn't last that long anyways, even with this spell. These don't matter so much. It's just a buffing spell. But let's see what it does. For the duration, the willing creature you touch, which can be yourself, just letting you know, has resistance to 1 damage type of your choice: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. This is the same list as absorb elements. Okay, so no improvements there. Let's see what classes can use it. Cleric. That is a huge buff. Absorb elements didn't get the ability to be used by clerics. That's a huge buff right there. Druid, keeping up with the other one. Ranger, keeping up. Sorcerer, still keeping up. Wizard, keeping up. Artificer, keeping up. And a whole bunch of subclasses. This is a cleric subclass. This is a druid subclass. A paladin subclass. That's huge. Another paladin subclass, and a third paladin subclass. This has variety. A lot of classes get this, and that's good. But here's the problem. This has so much versatility. It's a first level spell slot. It's a reaction. It doesn't need verbal components. There's so much to be desired here. It's just too slow. It's a great spell. It's just too slow. And it can be broken. If it wasn't concentration, what this spell should be is it should do one of two things. It should either be a reaction casting time, or you remove concentration and make it a shorter duration, like a minute. That would make this spell amazing. Just as good as absorbed elements. But the fact that it's not, it just hurts. Because you could be casting Fireball, a huge AoE damage spell. You could just be casting it with that time, with that spell slot. Or, another thing, a third one, the exchange, it covers multiple creatures. I would say 3 or 4. And you have to be next to the creature. So usually, if you want to use it on your frontline fighters, it has to be preemptive to the battle. Otherwise, you're going to have to go up to the front lines, or they're going to have to come back. And that's just lost time and effort. But yeah, that's me comparing these two spells. Overall, I'd say Absorb Elements is high. Incredibly high. God tier. Where Protection from Energy is a mediocre spell that could certainly help, especially for clerics who don't have Absorb Elements. Well, that's all for now. Bye!